Okay, so what if we could know what's coming? I mean, really know. Imagine an intelligence, maybe an AI, so vast it could foresee the really big shifts.
Right.
Not just, next week's weather, but maybe ecosystem collapse. Or even the whole arc of human civilization.
Wow.
Could an AI actually become a kind of prophet, telling us our destiny? That's the fascinating, maybe slightly unsettling question we're diving into today.
It really is. And it's a concept that's moving surprisingly fast from pure sci-fi into, well, serious academic and technical discussion.
Right.
It's driven by how good AI is getting at forecasting really complex trends. We're looking at its ability to chew through just enormous data sets.
Huge amounts.
Exactly. And find patterns leading to predictions in areas that, frankly, touch all of our lives.
Absolutely. We're talking about AI playing a bigger role in predicting things like climate futures.
Yeah, major environmental shift.
Economic ups and downs, how diseases might spread, even like how we all behave on social media. These aren't just abstract ideas, are they? They could have real consequences for you listening.
Definitely not abstract. And to really get a handle on this, we've been digging into some key academic work.
Okay.
So there's this 2021 research from Eng and their colleagues. They used deep learning, that's a powerful type of AI, to forecast environmental tipping points.
Tipping points, like
Arctic ice loss, for example.
Yeah.
And they did it with what they called remarkable precision.
Wow, okay.
Then there's a 2023 study by Reinhardt and others. They looked at how AI could simulate potential future societal scenarios.
Like politics and economics.
Exactly. Things like political instability, economic shocks. And we also look back at Nick Bostrom's work from 2014, thinking about the implications of, well, superintelligent AI.
Got it. So different angles on this prediction idea.
Different angles, yeah. Each gives us a piece of the puzzle.
So our mission today for this deep dive is pretty clear then. We want to unpack this potential for AI to, well, maybe foresee the future. How far could this go? What are the limits? And maybe the biggest question, is AI turning into some kind of modern oracle? Or is it something else?
Something like a mirror, maybe.
Exactly. Maybe just reflecting back the momentum of what we're already doing. We want you, listening, to get a clearer picture of where this is all heading and, what it might mean down the line.
Right. So let's tackle that core question head on. Can AI genuinely predict the future?
Yeah. Can it? It still sounds a bit like a movie plot.
It does, I know.
Yeah.
But think about what AI does best. Processing absolutely vast amounts of information, way more than any human mind could handle.
Right.
And building really complex models from that data. This allows it to spot subtle patterns, correlations, things that let it make forecasts with steadily increasing skill.
Okay, so we're already seeing this happen in practice.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
We touched on it. Climate change projections are a big one. AI models help scientists understand potential sea level rise or the likelihood of extreme weather.
Important stuff.
Crucial. And in economics, you have AI algorithms constantly trying to forecast market trends, stock prices, the economic growth, health crises too. AI was used extensively to model and predict how COVID-19 might spread, for instance.
Right, I remember seeing those models.
And then there's social media. Those platforms use AI constantly, analyzing user data to predict everything from viral trends to, well, shifts in public opinion. Human behavior, basically.
Okay, so it's already predicting things in complex systems.
Yes, and what's really striking sometimes is the level of detail. Take that Eng study from 2021 again.
The one about environmental tipping points.
That's the one. Using deep learning, where the AI learns patterns from huge data sets, almost like we learned they can predict things like Arctic ice loss with, well, their words were remarkable precision.
Remarkable precision about Arctic ice. That makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
It really does.
And it leads straight to that question they posed, which you mentioned. If it can predict nature, what's stopping it from predicting us?
Exactly. Where does it stop? If it can model ice sheets and climate systems that accurately, what about social systems, economic systems, human systems?
Yeah, what is stopping it? It raises huge questions about the ultimate scope here.
It does.
Yeah.
And there's another key trend pushing this forward. AI systems are becoming less specialized, more versatile.
How so?
Well, think about models like GPT-4. It's amazing at language, but it can also solve problems. It's not just a one-trick pony. Or DeepMind's Gato model, designed to handle hundreds of different tasks.
Ah, okay, so they're becoming more like generalists.
That's the term, yeah, generalist systems. And that's significant because it suggests AI might not be limited to just predicting, say, the weather or the stock market. Maybe it can start connecting dots across different domains.
Okay, now that gets really interesting. If AI is becoming more general purpose, could that lead to a massive jump in its ability to predict bigger, broader things, like societal trends?
That's the thinking. We're potentially looking beyond just forecasting specific metrics towards forecasting major societal shifts, maybe even instabilities.
Wow. Are there actual projects trying to do this?
There are. Look at Google DeepMind's Earth 2 project.
Earth 2. Sounds ambitious.
It is. The goal is basically to build a comprehensive AI model, a sort of digital twin of the entire planet, to simulate long-term environmental behavior.
The whole planet.
The whole planet. The scale is immense, obviously.
Yeah.
But the potential for really long-range forecasting of climate, resources, environmental impacts, it's huge.
Okay, so that's the environment. What about society itself?
Well, that brings us to that 2023 research from the Complexity Science Hub in Vienna. That was fascinating.
What did they do?
They trained an AI system on a massive amount of historical data, socioeconomic data, political data, decades of it.
Okay.
And this AI could then run simulations exploring potential future scenarios based on that historical learning.
Simulating the future, like what kind of scenarios?
Things like rising political instability in certain conditions, or even potential pathways towards economic collapse.
Yeah.
It's about modeling the dynamics of complex social systems.
That's pretty heavy stuff. Simulating political instability.
It is. And what's really compelling here, as the researchers pointed out, is that it moves beyond just analyzing the past. It tries to anticipate what might come next.
Right.
Their quote was something like, "We may soon have AIs that don't just analyze history, but anticipate the next chapter."
Anticipate the next chapter. That really frames it, doesn't it? A potential shift from explanation to anticipation.
A potentially profound shift.
Okay, but this obviously leads to some massive ethical questions, right? If AI could actually predict the future, even probabilistically, what do we do with that knowledge?
Exactly. This is where it gets incredibly complex, and it's something, you really need to think about as these technologies develop.
So what are the big dilemmas? What if an AI predicts something really destabilizing, like the end of democracy as we know it, or a catastrophic ecosystem collapse?
Right. What are the implications? What if governments get hold of these predictions? Do they act? Do they not act? What if they try to prevent the prediction? And that causes other problems.
Or what if they use the prediction to consolidate power?
That's a huge risk. Philosopher Nick Bostrom wrote about this back in 2014, the idea that a superintelligent system could end up shaping global policy based on its own goals and predictions, maybe in ways we don't foresee or desire.
So the AI's prediction itself could change the future it's predicting.
Precisely. There's that feedback loop. And what about false predictions? Imagine an AI predicts a global pandemic or a market crash, causes mass panic, and then it turns out to be wrong.
The damage could be immense, even if the prediction was off.
Immense. Then there's the control issue. Who gets access to these insights? Will it be controlled by governments, by corporations, by elites? Could they censor predictions they don't like?
Yeah, the potential for misuse or just unequal access seems really high.
And just the societal challenge of facing a potentially bleak predicted future. I mean, one source posed the question perfectly. If a machine tells you that everything collapses in 2045, what do? Trust it or turn it off?
Wow. Yeah. Do you want that burden of knowledge? Can society handle it?
These are really deep, difficult ethical waters we're wading into.
Okay, so we've got the potential power, the emerging capabilities, and these huge ethical traps. But let's consider another angle you hinted at earlier. Maybe AI isn't really seeing the future in some mystical way. Maybe it's just incredibly good at showing us where our current path leads.
That's a really important alternative perspective. The idea that AI isn't an oracle revealing destiny, but more like an amplifier for our present trajectory.
An amplifier, or like you said, a mirror.
Exactly, a mirror of civilization. Its predictions aren't pulling some predetermined fate out of thin air. They're reflecting the logical consequences of our collective actions, our policies, our resource use, our social structures, all based on the data we feed it.
So if the AI predicts something bad, it's basically saying, look, if you keep doing this,
then that is the likely outcome based on all the patterns I've learned. From this viewpoint, it actually puts the responsibility squarely back on us.
right. It's not the AI's fault if the prediction is grim. It's reflecting our momentum.
Precisely. It takes away the mystique of the prophet and frames it as sophisticated analysis of cause and effect based on current trends.
I like how one source put it, the AI prophet may not dictate destiny, it may just show us the price of our own momentum.
That captures it perfectly, I think. It's about understanding the consequences of the path we're already on.
Which makes it less about passively receiving a prophecy.
And more about actively understanding the forces we've set in motion and potentially choosing to change course based on that understanding.
Okay, let's try and pull this together then, especially for you listening. We've journeyed through this idea of AI as a predictor.
Yeah, from its growing power in specific areas like climate and economics.
To the rise of more generalist AI. Projects like Earth-2 simulating complex systems.
And those simulations of potential societal futures, which brings in all those heavy ethical questions.
Big ethical questions. What do we do with the knowledge? Who controls it? Can we even handle it?
And then we landed on this alternative idea. AI not as an oracle, but as this incredibly powerful mirror.
Reflecting our current path, the price of our momentum.
So, as you've been listening to all this, what's your take? Where do you land on this?
Yeah, what do you think? Would you actually want to know what a highly accurate AI predicts is coming?
And should we trust these systems? Should we let their predictions shape policy, shape our future?
Or is it just too dangerous? Is letting machines write the prophecy of mankind, even if it's just a probabilistic forecast, a step too far?
These aren't easy questions. There are no simple answers here.
Definitely not. But maybe the most crucial thing AI prediction offers isn't actually about knowing the distant future, some specific event in 2045. Maybe its real value is in showing us, with brutal clarity sometimes, the consequences of our present actions right now.
So using it as a tool for immediate self-reflection almost.
Yeah. Perhaps the ultimate prediction AI offers isn't about external events down the road, but about humanity's potential to actually look at that reflection.
Understand the momentum.
And consciously choose to shape a different, maybe more desirable future. The power might not be in knowing what's supposedly locked in, but in understanding the present so well that we gain the wisdom to change its course.
So the focus shifts from prediction to prevention, or conscious creation.
Exactly. Using the mirror not just to see, but to act. That's something to think about.